has been quite a while since we did our last podcast, and actually we now have a release date on the Veilguard, and last time we all made really, really bold predictions. I think I said November, Marshall said October. Lisa,
I said Dragon Age Day?
You did say Dragon Age Day.
I said the Dragon Age Inquisition anniversary.
Which would have been November, November 21st or 19th, something like that. So we were all, I mean, Marshall was right. Marshall was closest.
It was very close. We were all way off.
Yeah. Marshall was correct, and therefore we have booted him from the guest spot.
That's it. How dare he be correct? But
he cannot show up for one episode and show us up.
He can't. How dare he? But the fact that the game's coming out on Halloween is just so thematic to the series itself. We can all dress up in our Halloween costumes, spend like 6 hours of the game creating our Rooks and our Inquisitor if BioWare aren't going to release an early character creator demo. Now, I hope they are, and they want to, but as it currently stands, that's the reality that we kind of all need to anticipate. I myself, I'm going to be sat in a skeleton onesie creating my Morn Watcher Rook, and I can't wait for it.
I was going to say the best idea would be we should do a stream on the day of the release.
Yeah.
And the second the release window opens, like the game's able to be played, just like cut the stream. Like don't even say goodbye. Just immediately cut it at the time.
End it. Yeah.
Like, bye. Right.
Mid-sentence.
Lisa, you can talk about your rooks first.
Yeah, so I am very original, and I'm going to be an elven mage.
Hell yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, what specialization?
Surprisingly. I'm thinking evoker, because I like elemental stuff.
Hell yeah.
Now that more character creator stuff has come out, and more things related to Rook's background, I still want to say I'm going Lords of Fortune.
Yeah.
But... the Mortalitasi background is looking very cool. And
yes,
so does
it
the
is.
Jumper one, so
yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna try to stick with Lords of Fortune.
I think I've talked about it on streams and maybe in one of the podcast episode before.
It's been so long, I can't remember. Yeah.
I am doing my Kunari Mage, probably going Spellblade, because I love the melee aspect of magic since Arcane Warrior and Origins. Going a Warden, purely because we have not seen a Kunari Warden in any fashion in any of the in any Dragon Age media. I don't think we even have like mentions in the books at all. I want to get like a blue crystal in the horn because I've seen the character creator for Kunari and all the materials you can do, and I want to have probably won't be literally, but I want a lyrium horn.
Hell yeah, that's sick. I know I've said it before, but as metal and as epic as it sounds, I'm going to be doing a Morn Watcher Warrior Slayer, having a two-handed sword and focusing on necrotic damage. And so far, I'm definitely going to be having Nev and Emmerich in my party, getting that necromancy spells kind of element of that, combining attacks with Emmerich, and then having Ice Mage and slowing time magic with Nev, also as my potential romance option. But then again, Balara is over here, looking really cute, full of energy, and then you do have Harding in the corner too. But I feel like so far, as it stands, my heart is set on Nev for my first playthrough as a self-insert.
Balara gives off such chaotic vibes, and I relate to that so much because that is me. That is me.
Hell yeah. Embrace the chaos. I am chaotic neutral in my own moral alignment as well. So maybe I'll like the chaos more than I will with Nev. But at the same time, Nev's got that investigative police board thing going on that marries up very well with the whole tinfoil dynamic we've got going on here. So they both match up, really. It's going to come down to their personal quests, their actual character, and the dialogue options, really, and how actually I gel with them when it comes down to it. Do you guys have any... I know, Lisa, you've said in the past, Lucanus is looking likely. Does that still remain the same? And for Lambo, are you still dead set on Harding as your romance option?
Yeah, mostly going with Harding. Haven't seen much about Tash, but I'm interested in hearing... their Vows and Vengeance episode. So it's like definitely Harding, and then Tash and Davrin are kind of like beating each other up over second place at this point, or second playthrough.
I'm still set on Lucanus for my first playthrough, but after Davrin's episode of Vows and Vengeance, I'm like, you know what? I think he's gonna be my romance for my second playthrough, as I'm also planning on playing as a warden myself for that playthrough. So it's gonna be pretty fitting, I think.
That would be cute. Yeah, you can both take custody over Asan.
I have seen the details that you can pet him for as long as you want and play paper, scissors, rock with Manfred. I don't need anything else.
Yes, as a warning, folks, we are not going to be talking about spoilers besides what happened in terms of the impressions last week. All three of us haven't really watched much. I've read a lot of articles. We've seen a few things, but this is mainly going to be spoiler 3. We're not actually going to be talking much about the Veilguard in this. We're going to be talking about something else. But just for those who are trying to avoid a lot of spoilers, as we share these impressions now, it's coming from more of an objective point of view, more of what the reactions have been. But, you know, I'm pretty sure Lambo hasn't seen any spoilers since a month ago. Is that true, Lambo?
No, like, I've seen the character creator stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, little tidbits here and there, but I am, like, even if you look at my channel, I'm still talking about lore we got from the first game, and it will be, like, 3 years before I get to Dragon Age 2 at this rate. So, don't look for any updates from me.
Yeah, and me and Lisa are in the same boat of we've watched a few of the videos, but we're trying to keep things pretty much spoiler-free. I feel like I know enough about this game. I don't want now to be playing it in a month's time and going, oh yeah, this is the part where, you know, we meet Flemeth and she gives us a massive hamburger. And this is the part where, like, you know, the cheese wheel gets knocked over and Alistair pops out in a jack-in-a-box. And, you know, I don't want to be playing it based on rhetoric of what I've already seen a month ago. I get people and players who want to prepare for that stuff and they want to know all the details because it's been so long. But for me, I've seen enough, more than enough based on the spoilers and the reveals online right now, that it's really kind of just staying as away from social media as much as possible, keeping that comment section moderated, and just trying to survive as we literally encroach on this game coming out in a month, which is insane. But now it's just surviving it and ensuring we don't get the entire game spoiled. And I know, like, the spoilers BioWare are revealing so far are small scale and it's nothing in the grand schemes of the entire game, but I fundamentally hate spoilers. I love exploring things and having the time to be able to curate that experience myself, especially when we've waited, you know, 10 years for this game. I don't want it to be spoiled online. I don't want to go on Twitter and for somebody who's played it early to spoil it for me. I do want to be able to curate that and enjoy it myself in my own time, you know, having waited so long. And even in the same vein as that, I don't think I want to complete this game in a week. Now, I probably will, but as long as I'm taking the time and I'm playing it slow and I'm not in a rush to create content, that's the headspace that I want to be in for the Veilguard. I don't want to be rushing the game to avoid spoilers or to create content. I want to finish the game in a timely manner that suits me best, and then follow that up with content, stream playthroughs, etc. But as it currently stands now, I've definitely know way too much about the game, and I'm ready now just to play it.
I'm a bit torn because I kind of do want to know everything there is to know right now because I'm just very curious. But Veilguard is also the first Dragon Age game that I get to play as it releases. Origin 2 and Inquisition, I played, like, I think a year after Inquisition's release, so I already had seen some of the things. Like, I already knew Solus was going to be an antagonist of some, like, to some extent when I played Inquisition. So I already knew a lot of things, and I also tended to look up things more if I didn't know how to solve a puzzle or didn't know what choice to make. I'd look up the outcome. So this is the first game I'm going to go in completely blind. So I also don't really want to spoil myself. I've been following everything up until the embargo release, or the embargo lift, and then I watched some of the character creator stuff because I'm really curious about character creator. I'm very excited about that. After that, all of the gameplay stuff I've been kind of avoiding because I want to save some of the things. I just want to save that for when I play the game myself.
We just need to fend ourselves off a bit longer and actually have those surprises, because that's the thing about Dragon Age. There are so many twists and turns, and yes, there'll be other spoilers and there'll be other bits that won't be spoiled, and that'll be exciting to see when you do play the game, but I want as much of that to be as reactive as possible. I suppose regarding the embargo lift, Lisa, Lambo, did you catch much of that? Have you seen many impressions? Have you read many articles? Watched any other creators' impressions? Got any idea of what people think of this game after the 10 years you've waited for it?
Like, besides the character creator, I have not seeked out anything. I've seen a few people mentioning things here and there, or like sharing screenshots that aren't major spoilers but show bits of the game. But I have not sought out, I have not read articles, I have not sought out other creators' opinions on the early game or anything like that. I'm going in, I was going to say as blind as possible, but I know way too much already. So I guess I'm going in with, like, someone's just giving me 2 black eyes, but I can still see where I'm going, I guess.
I've not read any of the articles because I prefer watching or listening to stuff versus reading. So I've watched some videos, and most of the videos I watched were positive to, like, mixed on the first impressions that they saw, that they played. So yeah, that's pretty good, I'd say.
I've watched Mr. Matty Plays this video, and he's been a creator who he's my favorite creator of all time, and he has always had a, you know, fairly positive mindset of Dragon Age, but then skeptical of BioWare and very understanding of their previous mistakes, what went wrong with Anthem, what went wrong with Andromeda, even looking at Inquisition's mistakes and so forth. So he's been a very, very good kind of creator on being critical while still having that, he wants the game to succeed, he wants the games to have a positive future, and he wants that story ultimately to really come into play, not wanting a multiplayer live service RPG like the majority of us. And he had nothing but positive things to say. And he was even able to interview Corinne Bush as well, who talked about currently there are no plans for DLC for the Veilguard because they want it all to be contained in the base game so far. That's not saying that there will not be DLC. It's just saying that they've created this, like with Inquisition, that was very, very clearly created and set up for the Trespasser DLC. The Veilguard will answer all questions and it will all be included in the base game, which I think is fantastic. Obviously, we all want DLC. We want to see what will be going on after the game is complete, the separate expansions of this world. But as it currently stands, they're not working on DLC because they've made this game to answer all the questions and be as complete as possible. And in that same regard, they did talk about the 3-act style of the game, and I won't delve too much into the spoiler territory. Just the idea that actually Act 1 itself is such a big act and such a fundamental part of this game that it almost acts as the game's story in itself. But then you have 2 more acts following that, and they are not in any way the same size as Act 1. However, they're still chunky, they're still decent, and I think that's really exciting to hear the fact that actually, by the end of Act 1, you feel like you've completed the story, but there's still so much, well, not completed it, you've got a lot of the story, you've got a lot of the narrative, you're going in such a direction, but then you've got 2 more follow-on acts from that point. And we don't know how big those acts are, but I like that structure. Not similar to the previous games, because yes, Dragon Age has always had a 3-act system. The pacing of each, specifically Inquisition, the pacing is a mess, because you can do whatever you want. You can go into the hub-based worlds, you can get more power, do whatever. Whereas it seems like the Veilguard has more of a solid structure to it, with its mission level-based approach too. But no, I was really, really glad to hear that the whole act system, but also just the fact that they are cramming as much content as they can in this game, without tying it away behind a paywall or making it DLC. Matty had a lot of positive things to say. Ultimately, the main critiques that I've seen reading Kotaku, IGN, Eurogamer, PC Games N is just the fact that Dragon Age has always been divisive. So it's a series already filled with its own idiosyncrasies, with its own... Every game is different in its own regard. Each follows its own gameplay system, from Origins to 2 to Inquisition to Veilguard. Veilguard is no exception to that.
I think Wolfheart FPS is a very good example of someone that's always very fair and very honest, in my opinion, about the games he reviews. His take was, he was pretty mixed on what he played of the Veilguard. And I think all of the things he mentioned were very fair. Yeah. And a lot of it I agreed with.
Yeah.
And one of his biggest critiques was he was also a bit disappointed, I guess, that it wasn't going more towards the tactical approach, but more towards the action RPG.
Yeah.
And I think that that's very fair. I'm still sad about not being able to control your companions and having only 2, because
me too.
I know there are some cases where you have 3 companions with you, and I think that is during the recruitment quest. During the Q&As, the devs have said that some of the companions can just randomly show up in the world and show up if you're doing a quest that relates to their backstory. So I think in those cases you can have 3, which will help a lot. But I know I am still going to struggle at some points with deciding who I'm going to take with me.
Same.
2 is just...
I'm going to want to show up. I'm going to want to take multiple people on different quests. I'm like, I don't know who has more dialogue or more input to this quest. So
Exactly.
I don't want to have 3 mages in the party, but I feel like I need to.
Yeah, it's like when you don't take Solas and call on the Grail Warden quest and you go into the Fade, and then you have Iron Bull there as well. That dynamic is brilliant, but then you don't know that, obviously, when you're playing it for the first time, so it's all blind. But then you feel like you're missing out when you don't have those characters there.
The Fade was such a good example, though, because both Cole and Solus have such good dialogue there, and Iron Bull as well. But then Blackwall is a Grey Warden, so why would you not take him with you on that quest?
And I took him on my first time too, literally.
So you're gonna have to choose. Both Cassandra and Dorian also have really good dialogue afterwards.
They do, because Dorian's like, we went into the place where the seven magisters breached open the Fade, or something like that.
I think Cassandra acknowledges that she wasn't there, but if you don't take Iron Bull, it's really awkward because he's like, he wants you to beat. Exactly, he wants you to beat the fear out of him, and if you didn't take him, it's like, but you weren't even there.
Yeah, it's true.
With Cassandra, when you talk to her, she's like, I may not have been there, but someone should like write down like the events that occurred, so it's not lost to history and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I like how Cassandra is like, we should write this down, and then Dorian is like, we should not do this, and you can agree with both without any consequences, and I do it every time.
And then Bull's just like, hit me.
Yeah, I was about to say that, and then Bull's just like, hit me. I understand that the struggle we're talking about is a very hardcore struggle to having to choose between companions, and it's the novelty of not being able to choose 3 anymore. Even so, though, I genuinely do feel, and just from all we know so far, not looking into too much, not seeing too many of the previews or content that creators have done, the companions just look amazing, and I'm so excited. I saw a tiny snippet of Lucanus on the IGN video, and he just seemed freaking hilarious, and he was somebody that, I'm really looking forward to. But I actually saw this hilarious line he said, and I'm like, damn, don't give me somebody else to be torn between. But no, I'm really excited for this cast of characters. And while it's an issue right now, I think the replay value of the Veilguard is going to be much bigger than the previous games, that we only have 2, the amount of factions available, the amount of classes and specializations, the sheer character customization, and hopefully the choices. This is going to be a game that, as Corin Bush said, we're still going to be talking about in 10 years' time. So it's an issue right now, but I think 2 years, 1 year from now, we're going to be talking about all the different replayed experiences we've had of the Veilguard and comparing it to the first time when we played it, where we made these cock-ups or we did this extra thing that caused this person to do X, Y, Z, and it will be a brilliant time. I cannot wait for my first playthrough to go down as chaotic as possible, honestly.
Oh yeah, I will try to stick with my decisions. I'm gonna try to not save.
Yeah,
but it's gonna be very difficult, especially if companions can actually die. Like if my romance character dies, I'm like, well, what do I do now?
Emmerich,
do I just continue the game without a romance?
Yeah. Lambo, please explain to us all what we are doing this episode.
I don't know if it has a different name, but I've just been calling it Devil's Advocate. Devil's Advocate is the game where we'll go through everyone, but one of us will provide a topic relating to Dragon Age, whether it be a character, plot point, quest, marketing, any of that or anything else, and the other 2 will have to decide between agree or disagree, and either for a time limit if we go on for too long or just till both arguments are done, they have to argue those points till the end of that. Like the subjects that we bring forth, whether we get assigned agree or disagree, we have to argue those points regardless of how we personally feel. An example being, if I was to say that Solus is an overrated character, and I said, Jack, you have to agree with that. I don't think Jack does agree with that, but he would have to try and pull an argument out of nowhere, and we just want to see how it goes like that.
Embrace the chaos.
Can we call this Demon's Advocate?
That does sound a lot better. I mean, I don't know why I'd call it a practice round. We're not getting points or anything for this.
Well, the winner can get the invisible crown of being the Demon's Advocate of the podcast. I'll put a real crown on you in the next episode. You'll get a crown.
Sounds
okay.
All right.
So I will provide a subject, and then I'll ask one of you heads or tails. I'll flip the coin. I'll make tails agree, heads disagree, and then I'll flip the coin. Okay, so for the first subject that you guys will be arguing, in Dragon Age 2, the repeated use of rooms for like every quest throughout the game was a good design choice. Who wants to be the one that I flip the coin for?
I'll say tails.
Heads. Lisa, you have to disagree and say that the repeated use of rooms in Dragon Age 2 is not a great design choice. Jack, you have to agree that it is a good design choice.
Okay, I am ready. It is not a great design choice because if levels are very repetitive, it can get very, very boring. You've already explored everything, and there is not much else to do, even though there's other quests in the area. You've already been there, so yeah, it's just not as interesting. That's my opinion.
We got 20 seconds, Lisa. All right, you ready, Jack?
Yes.
All right, go for it.
It's a really good design choice because of all the areas, in Dragon Age 2, Hawk just needs to keep on going back and needs to check them all because there may have been things that they might have missed, and they need to really check in case there are possessions that they might need, but also from like checking the Qunari to see if they're okay, going back to that cave for the 50th time, just in case you didn't get that loot or already go through the caverns enough. But also from a development point of view, it's a brilliant idea because during the practices of that video game being created, they were able to replicate design choices, replicate levels to get to the same objective, to make the game quicker, which it was already created in a very, very rushed development anyway, with it being like, a year, 10 months. So it was a good idea for them at the time to get as much content out there as possible and link as many quests as they could with the already created levels that they already had.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see why I wanted Tails.
In terms of the actual point of that, it's like, it's good that they managed to make the game by reusing rooms and stuff. It's bad as the player to have to go through all those rooms again and again.
Yeah.
It's just not as interesting.
It's an understandable argument.
Next in line is Lisa. Lisa, you can give us a topic and we'll see how that goes.
The Nutcracker outfit during Wicked Eyes and Wicked Hearts is actually a very good outfit for both the Inquisitor and everyone else.
Are you picking me or Jack to flip the coin?
Lambo, you go ahead.
Okay, so tails agree, heads disagree. I get to disagree. The Nutcracker outfit is a ridiculous outfit for the Inquisitor, leader of the Inquisition, the most powerful, or one of the most powerful forces in Thedas, to show up at the Winter Palace in Orlais, wearing that abomination and forcing everyone else to wear that, including Leliana, who must have been pulling her hair out. Whoever set this up was...
Don't forget about Vivian.
Oh my god, Vivian, what are you both doing? You do not see anyone else in the entire Winter Palace wearing anything familiar. The closest to your outfit is Gaspard, and even he does not have the bright red of your Nutcracker outfit. You are the Inquisitor. You should have gotten a choice of so many different formal outfits. They could have even just stolen them from other Orlesians. Nobody likes the Winter Palace outfit. It was a terrible choice because you look ridiculous, and when you're exploring the Winter Palace, you also just get your armor back anyway, which doesn't make a lot of sense outside of, maybe you open a portal to the Fade and pull your gear out, but, well, that's another argument. Long story short, you just look absolutely ridiculous in the Winter Palace when everyone else is in proper formal gear and you all show up looking like a nutcracker. That's my argument.
That's a very good argument, but I think Jack has something to say about that. Don't you, Jack?
Well, I definitely do. Thank you, Lisa. I think, how dare you insult the Nutcracker outfit? How can you call that a Nutcracker outfit? The lush, blush red that evokes over the Inquisitor, matched together with the navy to dark blue shades of Varantium wool that acts as a belt. And you are insulting the fabrics of the Imperium and Orlesian craftsmanship for a beautiful, splendid outfit that marks the Inquisitor's grand arrival at the Royal Palace, resembling the colours red and blue, reflecting the nobility and the hard work and the graft of the Inquisitor and the Inquisition, all of them wearing it together as a symbol of the hardship as well as the nobility that they all reflect together, symbolising the Inquisition as it valiantly makes its arrival at the Winter Palace for Empress Celine. How dare you insult such a noble, regal attire? That's my defence.
Do I get to pick a winner or what?
Yeah, I don't, maybe we should pick winners.
Lisa picks a winner.
Oh, shit. Oh, no. Okay, I agree with Lambo, but I think Jack's defense was just... You put a lot of effort into that. I say I pick you as a winner.
Yay!
I had a secret weapon that I didn't use, and that was going to go to Nexus Mods and just type in formal outfit and just point at the results.
I'll just try to be unbiased, even though I agree with Lambo. I'll try to go.
That's the thing. It's choose the argument, not the subject. Because even though you may have it It's actually. Oh, you know what? Actually, it's a better argument.
This was my hot take, but I don't agree with it. I don't like Nutcracker outfit, not one bit. But I just like your defense.
Oh, I don't like it either.
So...
I also in the same vein as I don't like it either. But
yeah,
we're stepping out our comfort zones.
Yeah, no, we are.
Who won before on the previous round?
I'd say
Probably.
you because you kind of went 3 times her argument length.
Okay, so Jack's
Yeah,
got
I'm just like,
I'll
it's
write down.
boring, and
I'll write
you
down
went
some
into
notes.
the
I'll
why
write
it's
that
good
down.
for the
Jack just has
development of the game.
I'll write that down. Jack just has a piece of paper that says I'm winning. All right, Jack, it is now your turn to give us a topic.
Right, we need more hot takes. That's what we're getting to
Hold
now.
on. Before you even start, I know what one of them's going to be.
Oh, that's coming later.
Same.
Yeah, okay, cool. We're not getting straight into Ogren. Good to know.
No, we're getting straight into something more cursed.
More cursed than I don't know. That's
Are you ready?
More cursed.
hit
No.
it with it. Hit us with it.
No.
You
Okay,
will.
fine,
You can.
yeah.
You. I will let you know if I agree or disagree with this hot take. The architect is hotter than Corypheus. Lisa,
Oh,
spin that coin.
Lisa disagrees.
I disagree.
You think Corypheus is hotter?
Okay. Have you seen what he wears? Those, what is it?
Oh.
Stockings? Those shoes? Have you seen that? The architect doesn't have that. Also, Corypheus' speech when you meet him in Haven is so on point. It's just, it's, red is the sexy color. There's a lot of red lyrium on that guy. Look at him.
I agree with your statement. Corypheus showing up in Haven, he has one of the hardest lines in all of fiction. Pray that I succeed, for I have seen the seat of the gods and it was empty. Amazing. Has nothing to do with how hot he is, Lisa. I'm sorry. The architect, though, he has a lot of gold trimming, almost like a regal dress. You don't see his rib cage sticking out and the slump of that man's jaw with the red lyrium sticking out of his cheek. The architect, a golden regal mask. Some people have a mask kink, you know? He's thin, tall, lithe, white, almost looks like a vampire. People like that as well. This man just wants to help those riddled by the blight. Some of them are darkspawn, some of them are wardens, some of them are just corrupted. He is on a mission to do good, and at no point until you initiate the violence does he want to harm you. He's willing to have a conversation. He's a patient man. And he looks more humanoid than Corypheus. From a purely, visual standpoint, I would say that the majority of people would think the architect is better looking than Corypheus, and I might have a secret weapon for this one, but I'm afraid to type it into my Google search bar.
I think you should.
But
type
the
it
architect doesn't have the sexy shoes.
in.
The architect doesn't have sexy shoes.
He has sexy bracelets and gold trimmings over his ribs, or even like a gold rib.
It's all very materialistic. I'm sorry. I don't care about that.
Corypheus just wants an orb. He just wants you for your orb.
I care about Corypheus because he's got passion. He's got a goal. He is very passionate about that.
I want you all to know that I am making a sacrifice for this secret weapon.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Okay, cool. It was not a secret weapon. There are 0 results on Rule 34 for both of them.
Oh, unfortunate.
With that,
Yeah.
I'm going to close the argument. I really appreciate Lambo's defense. I really do. And I agree with Lambo. However, Lisa reminded me of Corypheus's Wizard of Oz stockings. He's a man of taste, a man of culture, a man of supreme taste.
The architect also has stockings.
Yeah, but I haven't seen the architect stockings.
I haven't seen them.
Corypheus's stockings.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give this one to Lisa. While I agree with Lambo, Lisa wins for the stockings.
Yeah.
I was going to say, though it was going to hurt my argument, the architect does look so much better than Corypheus until you take his mask off.
Yeah, no. I've had that I don't know. I'm not sure if that's a bug, but I've seen him without his mask and it looks very weird.
Oh, it's horrible. I'm going to pick Jack and flip the coin before I even give my my topic.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
So, Jack, you're going to agree with this topic.
Okay.
The Hinterlands is an amazing opening level for Inquisition.
The Hinterlands is an amazing, brilliant introduction for Dragon Age. There's so much content that you get so lost in the world that it just makes you feel like if you were really in a fantasy world where you had a magical anchor on your hand and you were chasing after an evil, malevolent god, that getting lost in this massive, massive forest of a world where everybody needs your help, you have that level of immersion. You are even more immersed into your character, even that more in touch with the Inquisitor, that you can actually feel the pain and the suffering and the joy of finding Dennett's mounts and then building all those watchtowers, to destroying all those fade rifts, to fighting that Avar boss, to all of the extended content, to don't forget the every single second of shard that you can collect, all to better a Qunari in your parties, their own facial painting. Yeah, the Hinterlands is a brilliant, beautiful area for the opening moments of the game. Forget the rest of the game. This is the game. You like those fetch quests? Great. You like riding your horse for tens and thousands of hours into the next section of the forest? Brilliant. Because you're going to be doing that for at least 30 hours. It's its own act. It's its own story. When you really get into it, you know, it's not about Corypheus. It's not about Solas. It's about all the journey and the joy that you made with Cassandra, Varric and Solas at the very start of the game in the Hinterlands. Meeting Mother Giselle couldn't have been an even better setup for the game.
Lisa, why is the Hinterlands an awful opening introduction for Dragon Age Inquisition?
Jack, I really appreciate the effort, but I am actually literally an argument for this, because an argument against this, I should say, because I literally quit the game when I was in the Hinterlands. See, the Hinterlands is way too big. All the things you can do and have to do are very overwhelming for players, and when they quit your game that early on and maybe they don't continue because they think the whole game is like this, you don't have any more players. Also, most players do not like fetch quest because it feels like you're doing something that doesn't matter for the story and it's just busy work. And it's just chores. And it's just working down a list of things you have to do. A lot of people already have to do that in their real lives, so if they have to do it in video games as well, they're just gonna get tired of that. People want to play video games to escape, to have fun, to relax at the end of a long day of work or school or real life issues. And now they start up the game and they see that they have to do another list of chores. They're gonna be like, I ain't doing that. And they're gonna close the game and not play it again. And that's not what you want as a developer. As I said, I quit the game.
Jack, you did have a good argument. Lisa is completely right when you are correct when saying that it is all about the minor stories in Dragon Age that you interact with your companions outside of the main campaign and stuff. But as an introductory level, the Hinterlands is all for player retention, keeping them immersed in this world, and most of it are fetch quests. Lisa is correct when she says that. So I'll give the point to Lisa.
The war table missions are a great game mechanic.
Who are you picking?
I'm gonna pick Jack this time.
Jack, you are disagreeing.
Yes! The war table missions in Dragon Age Inquisition are terrible. Having to have a multiplayer mechanic in a single player game of waiting to get resources or waiting to get that love letter from my hero Ferelden. Bro, I get it, he was sending it via Raven, but come on, I want that letter to have arrived by the time I returned from the Fade, not 24 hours in real time. Fair enough having it an in-game time mechanic, but having it occur in real time, it was just a way for repeat and play, for a live service aspect in a single-player game that is not Dragon Age. It's following evil EA malpractices to get you to go, yeah, I'll check in my war table missions, and I guess I'll play the multiplayer mode of Inquisition, but that does not suit a single-player game, especially when there are lots of war table missions that, as hardcore Dragon Age fans, we want the lore, we want the story, we want to see what happened with Zevran, we want to follow the trail of Dorian killing Venatori, we want to learn about the Executors, but to have to wait in real time to get that stories almost makes it not even worth it. Yeah, no shitty multiplayer malpractices in my single player games, and they tried to replicate that for Andromeda and it was even worse. So no.
All right.
Okay.
Lambo.
I believe that you have handed me a win here. Because Lisa didn't ask about the time that the missions take or anything. She asked about the mechanics specifically. I do agree, and this is not even just for the sake of the argument. I agree that it is a good mechanic. It is, especially for Inquisition. You are the Inquisitor. You cannot be everywhere at once, especially since the game takes place over 2 countries. It makes complete sense that you would have to delegate missions to your followers or send off different factions like the Chargers or the Wardens or the Templars or Mages, whoever you recruit, to complete missions for you. I agree that the time-based aspect is terrible, but that's not what we're arguing. We're arguing the mechanic. The mechanic of sending out people to do the missions for you makes sense, especially when those missions will eventually result in getting contacts from previous games or learning about new factions or doing side quests for your like Josephine has her whole advisor quest is related to the war table, and it makes sense that you would not, as the Inquisitor, be trying to stealthily acquire information or go through the legal proceedings of promoting nobles in Orlais. You would delegate that to your diplomats, and it makes complete sense to have a mechanic that shows you how you do that, or you deciding to do that, and getting letters and information based on the missions you send people out on. Now, for a mechanical focus, it makes complete sense.
Well, I appreciate that, Lambo, and I do get that point. However, the mechanics foundations are in facilitating a live service aspect the player has to return to the game to do their missions. Now, while I understand that point of view of the mechanic, it still has it having its own real-time time effect that has that exchange, which is not good. And so the foundations of the mechanic, yes, while it has its own perks of understanding the story, understanding the Inquisitor, the foundations of it are made with evil malpractices for you to go and play the multiplayer, go purchase some live service crates, go back into that mode, or wait real time so that you're playing the game for longer.
Jack. As the Inquisitor, when you send 3 Inquisition soldiers to the hinterlands to acquire 2 elf fruit and a single iron stone, do you expect them to be back in 10 seconds from Haven? That is not realistic in the slightest.
And that's
yes,
why
you command hundreds of soldiers, maybe 100 of them being in the hinterlands. It makes sense that they are completely fucking bored and would bring you back 2 herbs and a rock. But what? You do not expect them to travel with an Illuvian. It takes time for missions to be done, as it would if you were actually the Inquisitor.
Well, I think there should have been an in-game time mechanic. While I can understand that, there should have been not real life, because 24 hours to wait for my amulet to get from the Hero Ferelden is too frickin' long. I've probably finished a bulk of the hinterlands in that time.
The Hero Ferelden is a very busy person. We haven't seen him in 30 years. I'm running out of arguments.
This is very tough because you both have very strong arguments. Since I'm gonna have to pick one, I think I'm gonna pick Lambo because I just really liked your defense. Yeah, no, but I really liked your defense of it, and you're right.
Yeah. For context,
yeah,
I agree. Yes and no.
Same.
Jack, you're completely right. The fact that we have to wait real time, dumb.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it would make if that mechanic was in Veilguard and there was no time limit things, because you were sending off spies and stuff. That makes so much better. Like I said, it wouldn't make sense for you to go to Orlais and just be like, "Hello, yes, I would like to make this family noble. I will wait and file the proper reports."
On my most recent replay of Inquisition, I always want to do all the war table missions. Maybe that's a me problem, but I just want to finish them all.
Yeah.
Because I like the little lore stories. But then I accept the mission, I see it's 36 hours, and I'm like, oh my god, so that means this is the only mission I can do with Josephine this session.
Yeah,
literally. Come on.
But then there's the mod that's like, yeah, everything's finished instantly, and it's like, this is great. I've
got that, yeah. It's funny though when it's like, Josephine is ready to check in, and then you're in the fade, and you're like, right, yep, great, thanks Josephine. Just in the middle of something right now.
Exactly.
Where's the Inquisitor?
Yeah, but it's also I want to do the war table missions. As soon as one finishes, I want to do the next one because they take so damn long.
Yeah.
But then if you're in the middle of a quest, you can't. You lose 1 or 2 hours doing...
Literally. Yeah. Speaking of next, we're back to Jack.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you hitting us with it this time, or do we get another few minutes of peace?
You are... Dragon Age lore is better and richer than the lore of Lord of the Rings. Lambo...
Oh.
I am going to ask you to
flipping
spin
the coin. I have to disagree. This is going to be real easy for me.
You're saying that Dragon Age lore doesn't have worse lore, it's just not as good as the lore. It's not as good and rich as Lord of the Rings.
I do disagree. I disagree. I don't think the Dragon Age lore is better than Lord of the Rings. You want to know how I know that? I don't know the Lord of the Rings lore. I haven't seen the films. I cannot say confidently that Dragon Age is better than their lore. I don't know the lore. It could be better. I am not going to be ignorant and say that something's better purely because it's something I enjoy. I got nothing else. I don't know shit about Lord of the
Rings. Okay,
right.
Lisa.
I think me and Lambo can shake hands because I also don't know that much about Lord of the Rings. I am just going to say Dragon Age lore is better because we have nugs. Lord of the Rings doesn't have nugs. We have Morrigan. There's no Morrigan in Lord of the Rings.
Hell yeah!
We have Solus. Yep.
See,
that's it.
That's got me torn. I understand Lambo's point of view, not choosing or being particular to a franchise because you really like it and have a personal connection to it. But also Lambo doesn't know Lord of the Rings. But then Lisa's out here bringing in Morrigan, Nugs and Solas to the mix. A few of my favourite things.
I could name 1,000 more things, 1,000 more reasons why I love Dragon Age lore, but that isn't necessarily related as to why it's better than Lord of the Rings lore.
I'll give Lambo the point because it's a good point to make. I did want to see if you both knew Lord of the Rings lore, we could have a proper battle about it. But no.
Nah.
If I had to make the argument against it, I'd say Lord of the Rings lore is better because the basics of fantasy.
That's
what I was going to say.
But the thing
is, the basics of fantasy. It shaped it.
Yeah, it's true. But the thing about Dragon Age, compared to every other fantasy franchise ever, is it's the only lore to ever subvert Lord of the Rings. So that's where elves, yes, in Lord of the Rings, they're immortal beings and they've always been immortal. Dragon Age, yes, they're immortal. Well, they're not. Yes, they are immortal. Actually, they were immortal, but now they're reduced to nothing because they lost their immortality. It's that flip of Tolkien lore, so it wouldn't exist without it. But at the same time, they subvert it in such a really cool, interesting way. And it's the dynamic of what Dragon Age does differently to this kind of subtext of what is fantasy lore based on Tolkien. So, no, it's not better or richer than it, but it's a really good subversion of it, for sure.
Yeah, it's got its own spin on it. And what else I like about Dragon Age lore is that it's very easy to grasp.
Exactly.
Like, we're getting into that complicated territory where you have elven gods, you have the old gods, you have the Maker and stuff. But compared to D&D lore, there is different planes of reality, multiple. Yeah. There is gods, and the gods, they actually exist, and they are real beings, and they can communicate. They have their own lives, but then there is like the leader of those gods, and it's all very cosmic. Compared to that, it's just, I like the simplicity of it. I guess that makes sense. And I don't mean that as a negative. No, I mean that as a positive.
Absolutely.
I'm going to say, Jack, I'm going to flip the coin for you. Heads? It's only landing on heads, Jesus. So you're going to disagree with this. The introduction of Titans to Dwarven lore was a mistake.
The introduction of Titans in Dragon Age lore currently was a mistake. Do you know why?
And you're disagreeing with that though. You think it was a great idea.
Do you know why it's such a great idea to Do you know why it's such a great idea to introduce a cosmic scale level threat in the third game's DLC that 25% of the target audience actually played? Do you know that was such a good idea? Because it subverts the entire direction of Dragon Age. You think it's going down the elf route? Think again. You think it's going to talk about the 7 Majesties in the Chantry? No. We're going back to the dwarves, baby. Getting some good old dwarven lore that has heavily been missing from Dragon Age since Origins. We're taking you back to the cosmic level threat that ignited pretty much everything. And it's going to it ties the elves and the dwarves' narratives together actually really, really well together, making it as if like the elves made the dwarves go to the surface in the first place. There's a big subversion on what's really happened between the two different different races. And having that not just be a civil war, but it's a cosmic level threat of the Titans, these gargantuan beings that are literally Thedas itself. And that ties to every kind of theory that you could have ever thought about in Dragon Age. From the Blight to the Elven Gods to Mathal herself. The Titans are connecting to every single thing in Thedas, with so many intrinsic kinds of lore that was of course all revealed in a DLC that so many of you all played. But no, it's a really good idea. It was a really good idea to add to the level of threats that are ever facing and ever present in Dragon Age, from the Old Gods to the Elven Gods to the remaining Magisters to the actual Blight. And I genuinely do think that the Titans introduction is going to now begin to answer a lot of questions that have long stood in the way of Dragon Age. And I think that's going to revolve a lot around the Elven Gods to the Blight. So, yeah, I think it's a brilliant idea to actually close off some narratives while opening it up in a DLC.
Lisa, you do think the introduction of the Titans was a mistake?
Yeah, it was a mistake because we already have so many other things we have to deal with. We have Fen'Harel and the threat of the Fate possibly coming down. We have the whole thing with the Kunari invasion. We also have the Executors. We already have so many things we have to think about. And now you go and introduce a whole new concept, a Titan. Like, what even is a Titan? I don't know what it is. Is it the Earth? Is it a creature in the Earth? Are we living inside it? It makes things just a whole lot more complicated. Especially the way it was introduced in a DLC. I'm pretty sure not everyone has played DLC. You have to pay money for it, and some people just want to play the base game and know everything. And then you're going to introduce that in a DLC. I just don't think that's a good idea. Because people don't play that, and then they play the next game, and Titans are mentioned, and they have no idea what this is. They don't know who Falta is. They don't know what happened. They don't know she connected with the Titan. I don't know. It's just... No,
that's their fault for not playing the DLC.
No, you can't blame people for being smart with their money. If people don't want to spend money on the DLC, they don't have to. Everything should be in the base game.
They should have got the ultimate edition of Dragon Age.
Yeah, some people don't have ultimate edition money, Jack.
I agree with Jack on it being a really great addition to the lore and another thing for the dwarves. But I also agree with Lisa in the fact that putting it in a DLC, because outside of that DLC, Kieran mentions it once, and that's all the lore we have on Titans.
Well, Trespasser as well. Another DLC,
outside of the DLC of Dragon Age,
yeah.
Kieran mentions, you can't, not without the Titans, and everyone's like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
The what? I have to give the point to Lisa. I think you had better points for why it was a bad introduction to the lore. And
all right,
the more literal sense of how they introduced it.
This is my honest opinion. Doing it in a DLC is not the best idea. I mean, when I played Dragon Age 2, I didn't have any DLC. I just played the base game first. That was my first experience.
Same.
I got the DLC later.
Yeah, same.
So then when I got to Inquisition, Varric talked about Corypheus and how he and Hawk killed him before, and I'm like, is this something I was supposed to know? Why are they just doing this off-screen? This is weird. And then I realized, oh, there's the Legacy DLC that introduces Corypheus. So
Yeah.
I agree. It's not doing it in a DLC is not the best way. But having said that, I really like the Titan lore, and I think it's really interesting. And I agree with you, Jack. Introducing that and giving the dwarves another thing is just
for sure.
Yeah, it was a really good idea.
And I do agree with Lisa, and it goes back to the point that Corinne Bush has now made, that they are making the next the Veilguard as complete as possible, so it's not chopping chopping block content for DLC. They are cramming everything they can right now, and then the idea of DLC currently is an afterthought. So I do, at least for the Veilguard, it would seem they are doing as much as they can to ensure that it's not just going to be like that. At the same time, this is Dragon Age, and they love doing their extended media to introduce an next threat or to introduce another subplot or except that's a thing. That's just Dragon Age. That's what it's always done. Look at Tevinter Nights already setting up the companions, the short stories, everything. The Dragon Age they're missing. While you don't need it, it still helps give you more context. So I get what they're saying with it's going to be the most expansive Dragon Age yet and the most full closure. Same time, though, it's still the very DNA of Dragon Age is extended material content.
Actually, not the next one on my list, but I'm gonna put it first because it's an interesting one and it hurts me personally.
I'm afraid.
Soul of Velen is overrated. This hurts, guys, but I do
Okay.
want to hear your arguments.
Who are you picking?
Lambo.
Okay, flipping the coin. I disagree that it is overrated. Okay.
Oh, I have to agree!
I don't think that Soul of Ellen is overrated. It is exactly as important and hyped up as it should be, with you being the romance to the main antagonist of the following game. The romance that you have with Solus prior to his reveal at the end of the game is heartwarming and touching all the way up until the breakup scene, and then the reveal at the end of the game showing that he is revealing himself as a god puts so much more stuff into context. It is the most interesting romance in the game for that reveal. And going into the next game, we know the Inquisitor is going to be coming back, so it makes sense that there's going to be so much more to explore with their relationship now that it's been a decade. And of all the stuff that Solus has done and is going to be doing, seeing them interact again, especially with the choice that you made for your Lavellen at the end of Trespasser, whether you wanted to redeem Solus or save him or murder him. No other romance from Inquisition is getting that amount of focus, regardless of who you've romanced, regardless of who shows up, whether Dorian shows up or Bull shows up or anything. You are not going to get as much content as a Soul of Ellen. That it is not overhyped. It is not exaggerated. It is the focus romance for the last, including Veilguard, for the last two games that we have. There is a lot of focus on it, yes, because it deserves the focus. It is a drama that is still unfolding. Every other romance has had their plot. In Veilguard, there's like, if you've romanced Dorian, sure, you'll get some other stuff, but it's not like Dorian is the main focus of the next game. He is not going to be getting major plot points and twists involving Rook that the Inquisitor is going to stumble upon.
You say that,
So,
but really, everybody's doing all this over some egg.
Damn, he beat me in like a sentence. How did he do it?
People only like him because he's an elven god, and that's the hot take in itself, because how many people were there when he was having his snide remarks and his intellect about the Fade in his hobo clothes, and those who now love him because he's an elven god and he's so integral to the plot? But were you really there in Haven talking to him about griffins and being sadly extinct? Were you really there? Or did you just jump on the bandwagon because you think you like him now, that he's an elven god and he's integral to the plot? If you were there, massive props to you, and I appreciate you. But were you there? Did you love him in his hobo clothes? Did you talk to him about the Fade? Did you think, yes, he's so sweet and sexy when he talks to me like that with his snide remarks?
oh, I know a lot of people that think that, yeah.
But see, Jack, here's the thing. Even if his reveal of being a god is what got most people to be interested in him, that doesn't change the fact that it makes him a more compelling character and he has more agency in the plot going forward. It makes it a more interesting romance because, in terms of the romance, whether you playing the game knew it or not, the reveal at the end shocks both you and Lavellen. You feel her reaction at learning that he is the Dread Wolf. And you have the same thoughts as Lavellen going into the Veilguard. You don't know what Solus has been up to. You don't know if he's going to be able to be redeemed. And maybe you don't know if the Inquisitors are going to walk up to him and hug him or walk up to him and stab him. There's so much that could be explored in the Veilguard. There's not anything like that in the romances for the Dragon Age series up to this point. The closest you could get is Morrigan.
Yeah, but it just comes down to the first argument I made. Everybody's doing this over some egg. Is he really worth it?
Yes. I mean, what? Sorry? Huh?
Jack, I think you're shooting yourself in the foot. The judge is the Soul of Ellen.
I mean, I'm shooting myself in the foot because I don't agree with this either. It's hard. No, it's hard for me to argue against it because I agree. But, I mean, no, I don't agree. I agree. Lies. Don't agree.
Yeah, I'm trying very hard to be unbiased.
I don't really know how to make an argument against it, to be honest with you, because I freaking love Solas. I don't know how to argue against it. I don't think it's overhyped. I could say that he's a douchebag. Yeah. I could say he doesn't deserve it. I could say that the next game somehow isn't going to make that narrative relevant, or it's just a small part of the game, or it's just a romance in a video game. But I don't agree with any of that, and I can understand the arguments for that, but I can't really make any that I justifiably believe.
You could make the argument that the other romances also have a very interesting story to tell. Why should everything revolve around Solus and Solavellen? If your Inquisitor romances Solus, they're the only one that ends up alone. So I don't think any of the other romances have that. I mean, like there's Anders in Dragon Age 2, I suppose, or Sebastian. It's a good romance, and it's got an extra twist to it. Him being an elven god makes it extra interesting.
So who gets the point?
Well, let me think about it. No, yeah, the point goes to Lambo.
Yay. So what are the points at right now, Jack?
Jack 2, Lisa 3, Lambo 3. Lambo, can you flip the coin and I'll tell you what the issue is? The hot take.
Okay, flipping the coin. So for me, I am... I'm disagreeing.
Really.
I'm disagreeing with your statement, Jack.
Okay, you're disagreeing with my statement that the Templar quest in Inquisition is much better in terms of substance, in terms of content, in terms of the entire mission itself than the Mage quest in Inquisition.
Okay. I agree, right?
You're going to be agreeing. Lambo disagrees.
Sick. Okay.
I disagree. I believe that the Mage quest line is much more interesting than the Templars. 2 words: time travel.
Oh!
Being able to see how fucked the future gets without the Inquisitor. What happens if you fail? What happens to all your companions? Finding your squad mates infected by lyrium. Seeing Dorian be kind of flippant and not committal about like the whole future being like a reality you could be stuck in. Seeing what they've been doing to Leliana for, is it a year after you left? Or it's the year after. I don't know if they specify a full year has passed. And yeah, seeing how bad things get without you, like having that connection with Dorian before he actually joins the Inquisition, and getting a taste of just how powerful this Elder One is. Sure, with the Templars, you do get to go to them and see how things like have slowly been getting corrupted and get your introduction to Cole. But with Dorian, you get to see just how much of a threat Corypheus really is. You get to see how the world will end. The world will completely... You get to see your failure, or what will happen if you fail, right in front of your Inquisitor, as opposed to a looming threat that you get with the Templar quest line. You get the heartfelt moment where you finally get the amulet, and you're finally getting ready to go back to the past. Your companions sacrifice their lives, Solus included, which, for what he has planned, willing to sacrifice themselves just to get you back to the past to avoid this future, is very gut-wrenching and more impactful than No Name Templar Man 2, who you never see again.
Okay, I'll also start with 2 words. Time travel, because time travel makes everything way more complicated than it should be. If you don't do time travel right, there are a lot of plot holes. They did time travel with this quest, and they never touched on it again. They just didn't want to bother with that again. Yes, you can see what happens in the future, but your Inquisitor goes to the future, and then they get back, and it's kind of like nothing ever happened. Yeah, you see your companions die because they sacrifice themselves, but also when you get back to the present, your companions are still there. So it's like the future that your Inquisitor sees is not real because they're going to prevent it. So everything that happened to the Inquisitor is not really real. So at the end of the day, it's like, well, did anything really ever happen? Versus the Templar quest, where you're really almost getting possessed by an envy demon. You're really that close to actually losing it and losing everything. You're dealing with real people in the present, people who are suffering and need your help. Plus, the introduction of Cole. You always get to meet Dorian in the Redcliffe Chantry. Yeah, you don't get the adventure with him in the fake future. If you don't do the Mage quest, you still get to meet him in the Chantry. As with Cole, if you don't do the Templar quest, he just shows up randomly and you have no idea who this kid is, and you miss out on a lot of his personality and what his character is about. Which actually happened to me. Again, I'm using myself as an argument. When I first met Cole, I was like, who is this kid? And I didn't really care about him. That is until I did the Templar quest, where he showed up and he wanted to help me because my Inquisitor needed his help. He has compassion, and that's where that really shows. He is not just some weird kid that randomly shows up to warn us about the Red Templars coming. No, he actively is trying to help me in this very dangerous situation, very real situation. And I think that's why the Templar quest is actually way better than the mage one.
Ooh, you have both
That's
conflicted
it.
me because you provided me with both really good, from Dorian and time travel to reasons why time travel was good to introduce but actually didn't have any consequences, to the introduction of Cole in a much more natural, better way. I am going to give the point to Lisa because I agree about the Cole. The thing about the quest line for me is you can meet Dorian in that natural way, and I feel like you're not missing anything by meeting Dorian that way and then recruiting the Templars, because the introduction of Cole is just so good. And yes, it is for Dorian, and yes, the connections of Alexius as a great villain and the Blight and his son, how it introduced Cole as a spirit in a tangible way of, he actually is inside our head too, because he can read thoughts, because he's a spirit of compassion, and it explains his character in a brilliant way, as well as actually then being a brilliant quest following the Templars. Just by a little bit, Lisa wins the argument, but by a very, very little bit, Lambo, because I did agree with the points you did make. Because time travel to me is one of my time travel is my favorite plot lines in games in media. Sorry, Life is Strange, Doctor Who, hit me up. I love time travel.
I think similar to Dorian showing up and warning you about the mages, Cole should have shown up to warn you about the Templars prior to you showing up and just being like, they're red lyrium everywhere. Okay. Templars eating the red rocks, corrupting, and then Cullen could have been like, they're what? We have to help them. But the mages have the magisters, so then you have to choose between who do you save.
Yeah, cause it's very much like, we don't know why the Templars won't contact us. Shall we just go and visit them, knock on their door and see what happens? Versus, Dorian's offering support and we've got Fiona here. It's very much like, do we go to a thought for no point and just see if they do anything? But anyway, I digress.
Lisa, let's flip the coin for this one.
Okay.
You're going to agree with this, Lisa.
Okay.
Loghain was right.
Okay.
Go on, Lisa.
Loghain is a very experienced general. He survived the Eurasian War. He is the hero of Riverdane. He knows his shit. He knows what he's talking about. He knows a losing battle when he sees one. So he saw the battle with the Darkspawn and the Grey Wardens was a losing battle. And in order to save resources, because that's what you have to be like in war, you can't really think about the people because this is war. You want to win for the greater good. Because if you lose, everybody loses, everybody dies, and it's all bad. So you got to think about that. So in order to save resources and people, he pulled out. He did what he had to, and he was right. Because what use is it if you just throw your forces into a battle, you come out of it with nothing? Then it's all lost. It's just a lost cause in that, if you do that. He did the right thing.
Nope. He did not. At the most worst possible time, Loghain decided to abandon not only his king, who he worked so close with, and his father, having such a tight bond with, to look after, King Caelan following King Marek and how he disappeared and took his own time away from the throne. A dear friend of his, he betrayed, as well as the Grey Wardens and the entire nation of Ferelden, in his own backstabbing scheme to reclaim the throne for himself, all based on the hypothetical that King Caelan was going to marry or reunite with Orlais. Well, that may have been a potential future. That may have happened. It hadn't happened at that point, and if Loghain saw another way to tell Caelan not to do that or explain the reasoning behind it further, really look into another way that avoided absolutely completely missing and avoiding the onslaught of the Darkspawn, which ended up in Duncan, who was also a good friend of Loghain, as well as King Caelan, which brought the world of Ferelden into even more turmoil. So instead of actually working on a solution about the Orlesian occupation of Ferelden again, or understanding the past and, seeing what they could do for maybe for peace, while I understand what happened with the Ferelden and Orlesian occupation in the past, the future doesn't need to follow the past. It can be different. There could have been a different unity of Ferelden and Orlais that wouldn't have saw them overtaking Ferelden again or taking over their throne. There could have been more peace, more of a landsmeet on that, or a treaty, or something. But instead, Loghain feared the past happening again. He feared an Orlesian rebellion occupying Ferelden again, and that was never going to happen, of course. But because of that fear, that irrationality, his actions were of that, and in so doing ruined the entire Grey Wardens of Ferelden, brought blight upon the entirety of Ostagar, killed the king, killed so many infamous Grey Wardens, and had the hero of Ferelden have to sort it out themselves. Which, I suppose, in its own doing so, did bring forth King Alistair Theron to the throne. But even so, if he had just communicated properly, like a normal human being, and was to not overlook his anxieties, or at least try and find some way to deal with them or rationalise them, the world wouldn't have been the way it was, and the Fifth Blight may have been sorted out at the Battle of Ostagar, but instead, nah. It elongated the blight, and it had dire consequences on the state of Ferelden.
Kaelin would have never listened to him.
Kaelin
would have never listened.
But
All he could think about was the heroes from the stories that his mother or whatever read to him when he was a child. Those stories are not based on realism. Loghain knows what war is. The king had never experienced war like Loghain did. He knows what it takes, and he did everything he could to save Ferelden, because that was his concern. Ferelden. He all did it for the good of the country.
And so, for the good of the country, it was okay for the king to die brutally because of his own naivety, when instead, Loghain could have just had a serious conversation with him about it. In his own broodiness, his own grumpiness of not being like, I'm not going to talk to him about it, he then let him die instead. That's okay.
A foolish king cannot lead a country. If the king is foolish, the country's going to go to shit. Loghain knows this.
But what is a fool but those around them to console them and show them how to be wise? We're all fools, but as long as we're guided with the right support, the right counsel, we can all learn from the wise, learn from the older generation, see what went wrong, and so those things don't happen again. But Loghain just started it. He was the one that ignited it. You know what? Loghain was worse than the ogre that killed the king. Because Loghain was... The ogre was just a sword, was Loghain's sword, but Loghain was the one with the motivations behind it, like an assassin.
Loghain wasn't an assassin, he hired one.
Like an assassin. The ogre was just his dagger.
Oh, the ogre was a third party. Leave the ogre out of it. This is about Loghain. And Loghain's action, it was not based on fear. It was based in reality, because Ferelden had been occupied before. He's seen it happen. He's lived it. He knows what it's like. Of course he's going to be afraid that Orlais might invade the country again. Of course.
Very understandable
Sometimes
fear.
You have to take drastic measures to protect the thing that you love. In this case being Ferelden.
And that's an understandable fear. However, there could have been peace treaties. There could have been something sanctioned in place that they could have dealt with the current Orlesian Empire and the current Kingdom of Ferelden, to how they can both have peace governing in that current space of time, as opposed to his fear, which understandable fear. However, it was also based on a usurper or rebellious king of Orlais. Anyway, it was based on a rebellion, not of Empress Celine or the current representatives of Orlais.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't have anything more.
That one went on for a bit.
Yeah. This was a fun one.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm going with Jack on that one.
That's fair. Yeah, no, I agree with Jack. I think Loghain is a very good villain because his motivations were good. He started out in a good place, but he just went way overboard with it, and he let his fear drive him and his paranoia. I think pulling out was wrong, because you never know, but like on the other hand, he knows what war is, and he's won the previous one, so he knows what he's doing. So I do believe him when he says that it's kind of a lost battle, but also at the same time, I'm like, dude, I mean,
at least save the king before you bail.
Yeah,
At
exactly.
least save the king.
Or warn them about it.
From his perspective,
or at least save Duncan. At least save Duncan. Don't save Kaelin.
From his perspective, Kaelin wasn't fit to rule.
Yeah.
Like, I get it, but also, come on, dude.
That's also it's like his best friend's son as well. It's like, him and Marek grew so close, and it's like you could have guided him better. You could have been more of an uncle figure to him, as opposed to It reminds me of, I know we talked about it before, but Scar and Mufasa with the little one. What's the little kid called in
Simba?
Lion King? Simba. It reminds me of that. It's like he's this evil uncle being like, ha 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 ha. You could have just tried a bit harder to communicate with him and see what you could have done.
I have one more, and then Jack has one more, right?
Yeah.
This is your last one.
Varric should have been a romanceable.
Ooh.
Okay, who are you picking for this?
Jack.
Okay.
Jack, you are disagreeing.
Okay. I like the fact that Varric hasn't been romanceable in Dragon Age so far, because Varric for me has always been the best buddy, very much your companion to cry, your shoulder to cry on during pivotal moments, the very much banterful character who's always there, your best friend, really, especially with Hawke, and yes, in Inquisition, but especially in Dragon Age 2 with Hawke, where the friendship that you have, yes, maybe it would have been nice to explore a dwarven romance with him, but I think that no, having that as a pure friendship for...
No, I thought you were going to say something else. Never mind.
I understand the chest hair. I understand wanting to romance the best dwarf in... Well, the second best dwarf in Dragon. Varric is the ultimate best friend, in my opinion, in Dragon Age. He's the Garrus Vicarian of the series, but he's a lot more nuanced. He's a lot more different than that. I'm just saying that as a way for everybody to understand where I'm coming from. The amount of dialogue, the sequences that you have with Varric, he's there for Hawke through it. To the point of then recurring in Inquisition, bringing forth that narrative of what Hawke unknowingly, seemingly failed to do, fully defeat Corypheus because they didn't know what they weren't doing. They were doing wrong. But he's there to really solidify that narrative and bringing that forward. But also acting as the Inquisitor, a really good friend to the Inquisitor, an advisor on Red Lyrium, a companion. And on top of that, the special connection he has with Bianca the Bull, and how that ties to his own personal love affair of a particular dwarf that means a lot to him, and that dynamic of her being a married woman, I believe, and the nuance that they have as really good friends. And that I really think would shatter if the Inquisitor or Hawke were to have that connection with Varric. The reason why he has so much agency, so much development and personality is because the role he fulfills as just your friend is really well shaped, and it's all crafted around that, where yes, you could perceive something else, but he has so much more agency because he already has those dynamics with Bianca and with other characters and with his bow, and he doesn't need that extra level of dimension because he's already got it, and that's why I think if Grey Fox Varric were to be romanceable in the Veilguard, it wouldn't be a good dynamic. He's there to guide Rook through this plot, to hand on the narrative of Solas like he did with the Inquisitor from Hawke. And he's there to act as, hopefully, a best friend in some regard, a companion to rely on, someone to give you great advice, to give you some fun nicknames, to recall past events, and ultimately to play Wicked Grace with and have a few pints with while talking about the state of the world in very humorous and fun, relatable ways. And I think you don't need a romance. There doesn't need to be anything more to that friendship.
Here's the thing, though. Varric would be a soulless level romance option. If you had the opportunity to romance Varric in Dragon Age 2, and then see Hawke and Varric, like, Hawke shows up in Inquisition, comes to Stronghold, if you had a romance with Varric, the extra content you could have gotten there, and the extra heartbreak if you had left Hawke in the Fade, the extra story we could have gotten with Varric, especially now going into the Veilguard. Like Varric talking about Hawke if they're still alive, or if Hawke was left in the Fade, having a genuine moment with Varric of them just mourning their loss if you decided to leave them in. What about the potential of Varric resenting the Inquisitor? The extra character development we could have gotten for various different world states would have been interesting to go through. But even just outside of that, Dragon Age 2 had some of the most memorable romances in the entire series. The most memorable character from Dragon Age 2 wasn't romanceable because he would have been too powerful.
You both have very good arguments, and I think your argument with romancing Varric and Hawke's fate, if they're being left in the Fade, is a very strong one, because it does have a lot of potential. But I think I'm going to give Jack the point. It's almost a tie, though. It's almost a tie.
Okay, which brings us to the last hot take, and one that I have myself, and I'll just give you a reminder of the scores. So, we have Jack on 4, I can't win a point, so that's me on 4. Lisa on 4 and Lambo on 3. If Lambo wins, it's a complete draw. If Lisa wins, she's taking home the tinfoil crown, and we'll have that on the next episode. Are we ready, folks, for the hot take? The hottest of takes.
Would it be rude of me to immediately concede purely so Jack can't tie for this?
No, why would you not want to tie? What? Why?
because of what you're about to propose.
Never. And because you said that, Lambo, you're gonna go first. What are you gonna be doing?
Good.
Roll that.
Okay, flip. I am heads disagreeing.
Oh, you're disagreeing. Okay, well, you gotta put a good argument up. 4. Why Ogren is the best damn dwarf in Dragon Age. Lisa, you're agreeing. Lambo, you're disagreeing. Lambo's up first.
Oh man, how could I disagree that Ogren is the worst dwarf? Tell me this. Why haven't we seen Ogren again outside of Origins or Awakening? He is an awful person. Sure. Some people like him because he's the relatable buddy character and he's really, he's funny, he's great, he's always by your side, he's your buddy. He is a fucking menace. This man walks around, verbally just making every female uncomfortable that he goes near. He has a few redeeming qualities until Awakening, where he abandons his wife and child to potentially die before even joining the Wardens. And then, after realizing his mistake, has already fucked it up because he's now a Warden and is going to die in 20 years. Outside of that, need I even talk about his whole relationship with Bronca in the whole Deep Roads and the fact that he gets excited over the idea that his wife cheated on him with another woman. He is the disgrace of the warrior caste of Orzammar. No one likes him. He knows that leaving Orzammar will brand him as a surfacer, and he cannot return to Orzammar. But he goes with the Warden because no one would fucking care. You can go on YouTube, and you can watch a compilation of all of Ogren's banter, and if afterwards you think Ogren is a good character, you need help. He is a terrible person and is absolutely not. He is not a fun person to be around. Play as a female warden. Go to the Deep Roads immediately and get Ogren. Keep him in your party at every opportunity. Romance Liliana so you have a lesbian romance. Just listen to the words he says to you.
Ogren actually has a lot of hidden depth to him. A lot of people don't look past the drunkenness and the weird comments that he makes, but if you look past that, he's actually a very interesting character. He is struggling with alcohol. He's an alcoholic, but that's something people in real life struggle with as well. So there's that aspect of him. He is trying to improve his life. He joins the Warden so he has a cause. He wants to fight for something. He also sticks with you. Yes, if you have low approval, he can leave, but he seeks you out in Awakening. Who else seeks you out in Awakening? I don't see any previous party members in my Awakening party, but where's Ogren? Oh, he's right there. He is right there with you. He is ready to fight with you. He is willing to give his life for you. I don't see any of the other characters do that, but there is Ogren. Here he is. And all that while he is still struggling with his issues, his personal struggles. Things that are often forgotten by people. And yeah, he doesn't have a great relationship with his wife, kid, but he's trying. He's trying to work through it. You know, when it gets hard, he hides behind the bottle. But you know, he's trying.
Wonderful.
Are you attempting to excuse Ogren's personalities by relying on his substance abuse?
Well, that is what some people struggle with.
He needed a cause. He had a child, a baby,
Oh no.
a newborn baby. Morrigan was raised by fucking animals and Flemeth. She has manners. She doesn't use them with Alistar, but even she understands what, is proper and what isn't. Shale is a rock. Alistar is a moron. Sten is a Kunari. These people have better manners than Ogren.
He's had it rough.
I'm sorry. Everyone's had it rough.
Look, I'm trying, okay?
I'm not making it
I'm at
easy
a-
for you.
I'm at a disadvantage.
Absolutely.
That was a hard one. Because I know you all love Ogren so much, so it's hard to agree when it's obviously
No.
Lambo. Lambo's trying so hard to agree. At least
I
so,
wish-
you know.
I wish Ogren had died during the joining.
Oh, God.
But I think, on the sheer passion and the very good points made, I have to give us to Lambo.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which
If there was
means-
one thing, if there was one thing in there, it was fucking passion.
Which means that the winners is a tie, which means we all get tinfoil hats next episode.
Do we get it?
Nice.
Should we do a tiebreaker?
Do we?
Oh, God.
How do we do a
Oh.
tiebreaker though? Because
I
somebody
don't know.
has
We could leave it to the comments. Who had the best argument across any of the subjects?
Yeah, let's leave it
That's
to the
gonna be-
comments. Yeah.
We can just do a general consensus of whose name came up the most.
Yeah, chat.
Okay.
Give us names of who you think did the best arguments across the board. Do either of you have anything to plug? Anything you're currently working on that you want to share as we outro?
I make no promises on my videos because my mental health takes precedent, and it is a
Amen.
bitch.
That's completely understandable.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been working on some lore videos.
Hell yeah.
I recently released the Grey Warden ranks explained. That is what I recently released, and
Ooh.
I basically go over what all of the Grey Warden ranks are. It's a very short video. It's easily digestible, I hope. But it's just going over the ranks.
Oh, yeah.
And the next one of the next ones will be related to Mortalitasi, and I've got
Ooh.
one coming up about the crows.
Oh hell
They're
yeah.
just simple lore videos that people can watch so they know a little bit more about the factions before playing Veilguard. That's the
sick.
goal anyway.
From me, I have Rook Club every Wednesday. For those who don't know, we read Divinity Nights. And we have like 6 left. It's literally counting down to the Veilguard. I'm gonna do 2 of them either on the same week or on the same day, so we can do Dreadwolf Take You on like the 20-something of October, and we do that every week on a Wednesday at 7 p.m. British time, and it's so fun. And I've got a few other videos in the works. Besides that, that's everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. As we gave you all our hottest takes, or our demons takes, I should say, or playing Demons Advocate. Really appreciate you all listening to us this far, and please check out Lisa and Lambo's channels. Links in the description down below. But until the next one, we will see you then. But yeah, we should go. See you later on. Bye.
Bye. everyone.
Goodbye.